something's not right in Pittsburgh, as evidenced by the fact that they got shellacked by the Browns on Sunday night. Mike Tomlin met with the media for his end-of-season press conference. We will now not see or hear from him for months. Here's what Tomlin had to say yesterday on possible changes, including their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger.
I start first and foremost by saying, obviously didn't anticipate being here in this position. Disappointed by it. Understand that, we better make some changes in terms of the things that we do. We better look at every aspect of it, schematics, personnel, approach to business. I'm committed to that. I'm not going to maintain status quo and hope that the outcome changes. That's the definition of insanity.
Do you think that it's realistic that Ben will be back given the cap implications?
I don't have a clear assessment of the overall impact of the cap ramifications. So I might not have a direct answer to your question, but I think it's reasonable to assume that there's a chance that he's going to be back, certainly. The depths of the ramifications of the cap discussions, I am not privy to as I sit here right now.
We can help you out, Mike. $41.25 million cap charge if Ben Roethlisberger plays next year under the final year of his contract. $22.25 million if he retires. There's a $19 million gap between the two. I have an item at PFT that breaks down how they could reduce that cap number, and they could get it down, in the range of $26 million. It's still at least going to be $22.25. The question is, how much closer to $22.25 or $41.25 will it be by virtue of an extension that takes money to be paid this year and spreads it out over multiple years? But, Chris, here's the big requirement. Roethlisberger has to go along with it.
Yeah.
If Roethlisberger at some point says, I just want to honor my contract, I just want to play out my contract, I have 1 year left on my contract, I'm going to honor the terms of it, the signal there is, hey, you're going to carry 41.25 or you're going to cut me. And this is where it gets potentially delicate. We touched on this briefly on Monday, but it was more about the game. If he retires, if he says, I retire, the Steelers have every right under the CBA to come to him and say, you owe us $12.5 million in unearned money that we've paid you in the form of a signing bonus. They have an absolute right to do it. The Lions did it to Calvin Johnson. I remember saying 5 years ago, Calvin Johnson should not retire. He should force the Lions to cut him. He's got a bloated cap number. Force them to cut him. Then you don't owe them anything. And secondly, you can go wherever you want to go. Remember there was noise from time to time about maybe Calvin Johnson wants to play for the Patriots.
Yeah.
He's still under contract with the Lions. He's on the reserve retired list. If you're cut, you can do whatever you want. So if you're Ben Roethlisberger and you're thinking maybe I'm done, your better course may be to play this out and say, let's see if they carry $41.25 million on their cap as of March 17, when the total cap may be $175, Chris. So there's potential here for an awkward parting of the ways driven by Roethlisberger being a little passive-aggressive and saying, I'm just going to honor my contract, which means I'm not playing your extension game so you can have a lower cap number and take the balance of that cap charge later.
Well, I feel like if he does that, then he's telling us he's done, though, right? I mean, that to me would be the big thing, because that number is ludicrous next year. That something needs to be done. I mean, if Big Ben wants to come back and actually have a chance to be successful, and maybe they can re-sign a Bud Dupree, and maybe they can, help out that offensive line and get a top-notch running back and things like that, then he should, and he wants to go out, into the sunset, then he should look at every avenue and trying to help them find a way to lower that number for next year. But if it's like, hey, he just wants to retire, then yeah, that probably is the move where he just goes, okay, no, I'm going to play this out. Cut me. You got to cut me. I'm not just going to retire. And then unless they says I'm going to retire, and then they just go, hey, you keep the $12 million, which is I think they would do anyways. I don't think they're going to make Ben Roethlisberger write a check.
I know, but the Lions did it to Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
and he's
well,
still
they're the
mad
Lions.
about it now.
I know.
And the Lions did it to Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
so
well, that's stupid. I don't know. Sorry, Lions. You were stupid in both of those occasions. Andrew Luck and Jim Irsay have it more right in that way.
They worked out a deal, though.
Right.
But they worked out. I think some money went back to Jim Irsay.
Okay.
They worked out a deal.
Yeah.
Because his was unexpected and it was earlier in the contract.
Right.
This is the last year, and Ben's gonna be 39 coming up. And the other side of this, and look, we got to be honest in our assessment. We said this before. This isn't a surprise. Ben, we all have an ego. Ben likes a little attention. Ben sees Peyton Manning finish his career with another team. Brett Favre finished his career with another team. Guys who played while he's played. Tom Brady finishes his career with another team. Phillip Rivers finishes his career with another team. What if Ben's thinking, maybe I just want to have the ability? Maybe I just want to be, not that he does the TB12 method, but who knows what happens in November of 2021. Contending team has an injury. Here comes Ben riding in on a white horse to save the day. You've got the flexibility to do that if they cut you. So you're right. If he says, I just want to honor my contract, the signal is I'm done in Pittsburgh and maybe done for good. And they won't just say, keep the $12.5 million. And I think the best way to do it, if that's what he wants to do, the most productive way to do it, Chris, is for his agent to go to the team and say, look, he wants to retire, but he doesn't want to pay back the $12.5 million.
Right,
so we got two ways we can do this. He can retire, and you can agree not to take back the money, or he can force you to take a $41.25 million cap hit as of March 17. And, yeah, he'll come back for one more year, and you got to pay him another $19 million, and you got to deal with that cap charge all year long. What do you prefer? And I think that if they negotiate it the right way, maybe he can walk away without having to pay back the money if that's what he wants to do.
I would agree with you there. I would think that's kind of how that conversation goes down. I think Big Ben going to another football team is off the table, just my assessment as the football player. I think you'd have to be, Rivers, Brady, they were still making plays last year. We limped into the finish line with Big Ben, And it's like, I think he has one more year left in him. Definitely. So that's where I think it's a little different. I don't think people are going to come away watching film and going, man, we need more of those 4-yard passes that Big Ben throws. That's where he still can win and do that. But as Big Ben, or you heard Mike Tomlin talk about there's got to be a major shift in how they approach the game on the offensive side of the ball. They have no chance of going to a Super Bowl if they're going to play the same style they played this year or next year with Big Ben. Like a guy who can't move and an arm is declining, and we're going to ask him to throw the ball 45 times a game. That makes no sense. If you want to get the most out of Big Ben, they better get into running the football and winning the line of scrimmage that way, being able to protect him, play action passes, a little bit like we're seeing, Brady and Tampa. They went all in on protecting him. And that to me is what you'd have to do if you want to make it work for one more year with Big Ben.
And if you're going to make dramatic changes to the offense and all these things Tomlin was talking about, maybe the time has come to move on to a new quarterback. So as to the idea of him playing for another team, keep this in mind.
Yeah.
In 2010, when he went through the stuff in Georgia and got suspended by the NFL, he was reviled in Pittsburgh. They were done with him in Pittsburgh.
You're right.
They were talking about trading him to the Raiders back in 2010.
Yeah.
That he was hated, and he's rebuilt that. So that's all the more reason to not squander that goodwill and go play for another team, especially an AFC team that would be potentially competing with the Steelers. That's not going to be good for anybody if he does that. And it's amazing how he turned around his image, his reputation, and just the extent to which people like him or don't like him in Pittsburgh.
No, it is amazing. And one thing, I just want to bring this up because I'd love to hear you. I thought about this last night when I saw the text for the rundown and all that. But, at what point does the NFL maybe think about, there's a franchise tag. How about a legends tag? If you've played with a team for 12 years or so, you get a certain amount of your salary cap cut off. So we don't have to cut these legends just because of salary cap casualties and things like that. I'm not saying it necessarily pertains to this, but it's just something I think about at times. It's a shame we run out guys older in the league sometimes who can still play, but they're run out really because of the salary cap number.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.